Okay, Bus Bench Babes, we are back for part 2 of our workshop series of how to get your content out there. I have Karey White back on the episode. Last week, she shared how she took those 10 easy ways to batch work her content strategy and how she took those and made it work for her. And this week, she's back to share exactly what her content looks like. So many of us can get stuck wondering what to actually say once we have the ideas. Well, this week, we're going to break down how she's doing it and how it might be just a little easier than you think. Let's dive in.
You're listening to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in.
Okay, Bus Bench Babes, here we go. We are diving right back in to how to batch work that content strategy and actually get it out there. So if you have listened to episode 177, how to batch work your content strategy, and then you listened to last week's episode 199, where Karey on the team shared how she took those 10 things that we talk about in episode 177 to create an action plan for herself. You are in the right place. Today, she is going to share exactly what she is posting, exactly what she is putting into her emails, how she is putting this content out into the world. So this is really a part 3, but I mean, I guess technically it's a part 2, right, Karey?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm super excited. So we are sort of trying something new here. We did a workshop episode last week, and then this week we're doing a part 2 workshop episode. We haven't really done these before so much on the podcast, so it's a little bit different, and we would love to hear, when all is said and done, what everyone thinks of this, because if this is super helpful for you, we will keep doing them. So definitely shoot us an email, send us a DM, let us know. Okay, Karey, are you ready?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so if you have all done your homework and you've listened to the other 2 episodes, episode 177 and last week, episode 199, you know who Karey White is. Or if you have just listened to many other episodes on this podcast, you will have heard of her at some point. But just in case someone's new and this is their first one, Karey, give them a little nutshell on who you are.
So I'm Karey. I'm the operations director. I'm a licensed agent. I'm kind of the right arm on the team of the BPR experience. And so diving into all things real estate and building my brand, getting into the Bus Bench Babes mode and getting on social and doing all the things. So yeah, so ready to dive in and share how this workshop has worked for me to get into this. Yeah.
So I know I already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it one more time, because if you've gotten this far, I want to make sure that your time is being best spent. If you have not listened to last week's episode 199, where Karey really shares how she's identified her brand pillars, how she knows her audience, how she has, collected information, some data from her posts, her emails that are getting the most engagement, so on and so on. Go back, because this episode is really going to make a lot more sense to you, and hopefully it'll kind of meet you where you're at so you can get your brand pillars also posted.
Yeah, so briefly, during the last episode, we kind of clarified all my brand pillars, so I can recap those real quick. It's real estate related. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I love my family, so that's a part of me. Simple joys. I love organization, and then I'm really into self-growth. So those are kind of my main pillars that I am going to be writing about, that I have written about. And we took all of my ideas, we brain dumped them into like a content calendar, just kind of really like a spot to dump all of the ideas, all the possibilities. And then you help me pull out the content, like the topics of what I'm going to write about. And we put those into a handy little calendar, and I got into the writing stage. So we're kind of on that second half of the 10 actionable items.
So there's kind of like an in-between, right? I'm so glad that you brought up that content calendar and that in-between part. Like, you have all the ideas, you know what you need to do. You've identified all of that. But okay, so then there's the brain dump process, right? And then sort of like scheduling that out. And I love so much. This is one of my favorite parts. And it's really one of the, I guess, like last parts where I become like really useful, I should say, because I get to like look at all those ideas and help you pluck out what makes sense and help you really simplify. Like, this idea here actually has 10 ideas within it. And we chatted a little bit about this on last week's episode of how we took one of your emails and I was like, oh my gosh, Karey, there's so much here. This is amazing. Because a lot of times when we're storytellers, we, put so much information into one email or one post, which is awesome. But then we can take that and break it down so many different ways. So this is the part that she's talking about. We did that and she scheduled those, or didn't really schedule them, but placed them all out onto a calendar. And this process is pretty messy. I was like, Karey, are you sure you want me to write on this? And she was like, go ahead. And I'm like, I'm going to scribble. I write sloppy. I'm going to erase. Like, I have to do this in pencil. And you're like, yeah, no problem. And so that was a really fun part. And one of my favorite parts of this entire process. I just kind of wanted to share that because I think it's the one area that can feel overwhelming, or maybe there's more than one area. But really, there's fun in it. If you can sit down and get that visual too, having that calendar in front of you is really helpful.
Right. And I think it could really help, like if you're working 2 weeks in advance to batch, or whether you're working a month in advance, but like really to pull things out, you could get so far in advance. You could map out a whole
quarter,
a bunch of posts. Exactly.
You could really.
Goals.
Obviously. But, obviously there are going to be some things that you leave space for, but really you can map out a whole quarter is the truth. Okay, Karey. So let's just dive right in. So we did 2 weeks. I love doing a month. I'm all about a month. You get a month done. A month can feel overwhelming, and a month is also a lot for a podcast. So Karey has done something that is very reasonable. It's actually something that anyone can do, right? We can all carve out a couple hours and do 2 weeks. We can, especially when, and again, go back to the last episode where Karey shares, sending emails and all the engagement that she's getting with that, right? So you have that time if you create it and you make it a priority, like 2 weeks, totally manageable, doable. Would you say, Karey?
Right. Yep. 2 weeks for me worked out. Yep. Really good. So in that 2 weeks, I was doing one email per week. So I got 2 emails and then 3 posts a week. And the way we structured it was each email, we kind of had the one big email, the big idea, and then the posts, there was one post that kind of tied back into that same email. So for example, one of my emails was about a real estate focused call that I started in our brokerage group. It's kind of like a mastermind call. So just writing about that and how I love collaborating. So that was the email that went out. And I was able to pull some of that and rework it into a post and share on social media. And again, it was more about service. Like, when did you take a leap of faith? Getting out of your comfort zone type thing to create that engagement. So
Karey, I'm going to back you up just for a second because this is so good. And this just really shows how you can do this. And we all have so much content just sitting in our brains, just waiting to come out. So Karey, share a little bit about the call. You can just maybe nutshell it, how you started that mastermind call, the calling that you had to do it, that sort of thing. And then we'll kind of break it down from there.
Okay. So the call, it's just a Minnesota-based call. I was craving something to collaborate with other operations people in the industry. And I was missing my national call. I used to be on this national call. That got moonlit. No one else was participating in it. So I'm like, I can start up a local Minnesota call. I know a handful of people. I can put it out on our Facebook group. And so I started this call. And so the email specifically was just talking about wanting to find that collaboration where I find, fulfillment in my job is working with other people, and like turning that into a social media post. Then, not all my followers are operations people, but it just talked about, following your instinct, taking a chance on something new, and, setting something up that wasn't there before, like filling a void, even if it's for yourself. Like I wanted to be collaborative with other people, but then turning that into an open-ended question about how people are, taking a chance and filling a void in their world. So that's what I kind of wrote about.
Because my brain can't stop when it comes to these ideas, and this is such a good one, I'm just going to add a couple of things to just kind of get everyone's wheels turning, and then we're going to dive back into those other 2 posts for that week. So Karey, now with this one idea, she has the option to blog post. She has the option to, she could start a podcast if she wanted. She has the option to offer more education via a separate segment in her email, right? Knowing she's already identified, like, not all of my followers, not all of my audience are operations people, but they like me. So like I could start a segment and I could build that, I could grow that, right? She can also start a Facebook group, which I know that you're sending invites via Facebook. She can start an insiders group there. There are so many ways now that she can take this one idea that she had that she was willing to take a risk on and run with it. So I just wanted to add that in there. Karey, to give you some more ideas
yes,
too.
It is. All right. It snowballs for sure.
It does snowball, and it's really cool because it's endless. Like we could talk for an hour on ways that you could then, that group could serve at such a higher level every single time, which is so cool.
Yeah. So that was like the real estate piece of that week. And then of course I had to write up a post about just a simple joy, talking about coffee. That is one thing. It's all over everything. I'm 100% coffee addict. And then another piece of my pillar was that motherhood and family and touring kindergarten for my daughter, Louise. She starts kindergarten in September. So you're seeing all these different parts of me showing up on social media. It's not just all real estate or all one thing, all my kid. So it's kind of a good mix. So that's where the calendar kind of mapping out what post is going to go where really helped out. Even though it was a messy scribbly calendar, it all made sense in how it was laid out.
And I love so much, Karey, that you are starting with 3 posts a week and 1 email, right? You're not going to do 2 to 3 emails a week and 6 posts. Like it's just not right now in life. That's not what's going to happen. And so many times you're like, oh, if we're not posting every day or we're not doing this, like, no, show up how you can at the capacity that you have, where you can create consistency and then grow from there. So that also is it's just like reasonable, right?
Right.
Something else to mention with this and with your brand pillars, and when we're thinking about how we identify them and what really, works for us and our audience, is you're not like overly curating anything. So like when I mentioned a couple episodes ago, I don't even know what episode this was now, Karey, maybe you remember, like cutting the bullshit out of 2025. Like Karey's not sitting down and thinking, my kitchen needs to be perfectly cleaned for me to showcase this. Or if I'm going to show a picture of my daughter, or that process of like what kindergarten looks like, she doesn't have to be styled in the perfect clothes, to do that. It can just be my child. Or if I'm going to show up and talk about, what it's like as a mom to like be thinking about kindergarten. Like I've been through that. It's an emotional process, right? And I can do that in just a real way, and I don't have to overly curate it and add all this fluff that is just garbage that we're all sick of. So I really, really love that so much. And your simple joy, like coffee addict, I mean, come on, you're in good company.
Yeah.
So those things just make so much sense, Karey. And when like knowing you, like that's just easy. Like you get that easy piece to it. It's not supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be, it's going to take me 3 hours to find that perfect photo. Like really, like what am I doing now? Like what makes sense for me and my audience? How can I connect with others? And removing that like over glamorized part of it is key.
Yes.
So I love that you've done that.
I love it too. Yes. Thank you. It's your episode about the why your story is your most powerful marketing tool is the episode.
That is the one.
And I'm a storyteller. We've known that since day one because I can take that one topic and write an entire blog post when all I really need is an email. But also, yes, the picture perfect kitchen. I mean, that it's not true. It's not authentic. My kitchen is a mess. It's dark. I don't have the open concept floor plan and all this stuff. So just showing up and being real. So
I love that so much. And when you are, it's easier, right? It's just easier.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's talk about week 2 then. So that's for week 1. That's like, I mean, I keep saying easy. I know a lot of people are like, it's not easy. But really, when you think about the process that we've done and when you do that front loaded work, right? You've done those 10 steps and like you've done the dump and all of this good stuff. Like once you get to this part, you can let the ideas start to flow. So that's week 1. Let's go to week 2. What does that look like for you?
So week 2 was writing about a self-care retreat that I was able to take. You know, I had a weekend, just a 3-day retreat here locally. It wasn't anywhere far, but I was really able to unplug, do some self-care. The theme of the retreat was like, fill your cup. And, you know, it was surprising to learn that I was doing pretty good about filling my cup. I wasn't completely depleted at this retreat. So
that's amazing, Karey.
I know. It was like one of those realizations as I'm writing this email that, you know, looking back, my cup was pretty full. I was feeling pretty good. I'm doing so much growth work. So, you know, it touched on all these pillars, the self-care, the simple joys. I was with some friends, attended the retreat as well. So again, I pulled that into a post as well. So I kind of comboed. The email would get filtered into a post. And then another post that week is talking about my new planner, which
it's amazing.
The organization part of me, that pillar, just having a daily calendar to help with time blocking, organization, to start tracking goals and having those visuals. This is where I could see other ideas being pulled from that one post. Like the first post was just talking about my new planner. You know, why did I need it? Why did I want it? And then now that I've been using it a while, how is it working for me? So like pulling out different future posts about, okay, I can actually track my workouts and my meal planning. And it gives me like a quick visual glance of the month. So, you know, I'm tracking a lot of work things in here too. So if Beth has a question about, you know, real estate team related things, oh, when is that meeting? Or when is this closing? Like I have a quick reference spot. And then that's actually going to funnel into managing multiple calendars because my work calendar isn't my only calendar. I manage my household calendar. I'm going to have a school district calendar to deal with like school events. And then my husband's work schedule as well, if he's traveling or out of town. So managing multiple calendars, it just snowballs into more content, future content.
Love it.
Yes. And the third post that week was about cooking on my Traeger, you know, a simple joy.
Karey's the Traeger queen. Let's just go there. #Traeger queen. You will find Karey's face. We have talked about that on the podcast many times as well, but it is true.
And I have my BPR apron that I rock. I love wearing that. So sharing recipes and so the post that I wrote, I shared visuals of, the meat on the Traeger, and then I ended it with like, if you want the recipe, send me a DM. And I did get some engagement off that. So a friend of mine reached out. He wanted to know how I made the burnt ends that I made. And yeah, so it's a fun, engaging little tool, this whole little brand strategy.
So let's just talk a little bit here when we think of like posts that create engagement and how you get that interaction, right? So like a recipe, right? That is for you, it makes sense. I'm not saying everyone should go out and like throw up a recipe by any means. Makes sense for you. So Karey, I think original idea was to create a lead magnet. Crazy week, could not make it happen. Still said, shoot me a DM. What do you get? You get interaction. You get that back and forth in your DMs. You get all of that, which helps everything, right? You get it via your email list as well. But another idea, she could take that same exact recipe and she could make a lead magnet to grow her email list. So those are all things that make sense for Karey. And same with your planner. Like, where'd you get the planner, right? Like creating that engagement, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to touch on that too, because you can really take those and go deeper. And we could go on and on and on and on and on. But purpose of this episode is to simplify and to get our content out there, to start communicating with our audience, with our group of people, right? So I love that you have done this, and it is a very simple but very on brand for Karey way of how you have created these 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you. It like your help. So seeing the calendar and how you place things, it did make so much sense and easy to get in the flow. Once, my process is I just need to sit and kind of get centered, feel connected to what I'm going to be writing. And, then you pair it with the visuals, you schedule the posts on the Instagram planner. That wasn't actually a piece I was able to do either, but I know in the top 10, the list, it makes it so much easier. So
yeah. I just had an idea, Karey. Maybe we should have like a group of bus bench babes over, and you should like start the Traeger, make some amazing food. And we should just like, everyone brings their brain dump and we just get out these big calendars and I just like scribble. We just like have this big old party and everyone walks away with like their calendar for the next couple weeks. That'd be fun.
Yes, love it.
It'd be so fun. Okay, so something else to just think about here. I just want to mention this because when we just are sort of, we're not like obviously going to read you her entire post because that would just take a minute in all of her emails because she is a storyteller. But she's like giving you like a really good like recap or a little summary of them. When we think about this, I want you just to remember that they're not self-serving, like in a way, like when we say we want to post for like others, we want to like it to resonate with us, but also other people, right? Karey's not just like, I love feeling great about myself, so I went to a retreat. Like that's not what her posts look like. And I want you to go over to her social and check them out because it's not like that. They're not self-serving. It is, yes, this is happening in my life and this is how this like, and then sharing that so it fills someone else up. So it's really reciprocated. It's back and forth energy, right? It's that energy exchange that feels so good. Same with like the Traeger recipe, right? As a good example, like you actually had something to give, which like that makes sense. But even with your calendaring, there are so many ways that she is serving others, not just herself in these posts and in these emails. So Karey, tell them where they can find you on social so they can get on your email list and see your posts.
Sure. So on Instagram, I'm at Karey. It's spelled Karey _J_White. Karey J.
So you can
White.
check it out.
Yes. And that's such a good point. Excellent reminder. Like what I'm always trying to say, like, where am I coming from? I'm not doing this for the likes. I'm not doing this for the, I'm doing it for the engagement, like to uplift like the collective energy, just little by little, boosting people up. So that retreat, I kind of shared a takeaway was to not wait until your cup is empty to fill it. That was kind of the moral of that story. Like, oh, I was surprised that I wasn't completely drained. My advice to you, don't wait until your cup is empty to refill it. So how will you fill your energy? So that's kind of how I left that to inspire. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. So create the post for the energy exchange. And if the come list me call comes because of it, great. Even better. Right, Karey?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we'll wrap up here, but is there anything else that you would like to share about this experience or any motivation for others, ready to jump on this journey or actually get consistent with their content strategy?
So I think I ended the episode last time with this as well, but just do not overthink it. I mean, I've been there. I'm one of those people who tends to overthink things, but if you just center yourself, connect with what you want to say, not what you want to say, coming from a self-serving place, but what message you're trying to put out there, connect with that, lift up that energy, don't overthink it.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming back on, Karey, and being so vulnerable. I know that this can feel a little intimidating. I don't know if it did for you, but it can feel intimidating to share these deep, deep thoughts and our ideas and put them out there. So thank you so much for showing up for all of us and your energy exchange there. It has been incredible. So Bus Bench Babes, head back to episode 177 and 199 and let us know if you liked this. Hit us up on social, send us an email. Let us know if you like this workshop style episode, and we'll brain dump maybe some more ideas to do some more. So until next time, Bus Bench Babes, remember to keep your face off a bus bench and keep being the badass boss babe that you are.
Okay, girls, are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us, and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.